Guys, where did all the low end and heavy guitar tones go? The answer is that After the Burial has it. They have stolen it, they've burgled it, and they've stashed it all on these 2 albums. But the good news is that I burgled it back, and I've dialed in one of the most ignorant guitar tones in Thick Riff Thursday history. Okay, so literally I am using the IR from the Evergreen album. I believe this is in Will Putney's STL plugin, but I have it in a folder that I got from Machine years ago. So I've loaded it into Fortin Nameless Suite, and I've paired it with an SM57 because without it, it was like a little much. It's still awesome, but like I need a little bit of high end in there too. I've also done a little bit of EQ afterwards because without the EQ, it is like literally clipping because of the low end. And, you know, obviously I could turn it down like the guitar tone as a whole, which I probably will, but still, you know, I got to control this somehow, but I want the character from it, from the IR, from the plugin. So I've got that. I'm clamping down on it a little bit. I'll probably make some more tweaks as we go today. But yeah, this guitar tone's crazy. Actually, I also have the Dig Deep IR. That one sounds pretty sick too. I don't know if that's how that riff goes, but it's something like that. Yeah, I kind of like the Evergreen one a little more, and paired with the 57, it sounds really good. Yeah, that is beefy, brother. Okay, well, I'm kind of feeling like writing some like After the Burial type shit today. Oh man, this could be so groovy, dude. All right, not great, but good enough for a scratch take. It's funny, this riff is kind of like derived from a really, really old riff I wrote back in like high school with my old band, but this version of it is way more interesting. That's a cool B riff. Ooh, we do a little run there. Oh, I like that. So messy. So unbelievably messy, but we'll iron that out. That was kind of a cool idea. Yeah, I kind of like that ending to it. Maybe the drums could pick up in this middle riff. Go. I feel like that's begging for some metric modulation. Okay, let's start getting some drums down for these riffs, and then we'll take it from there. Intro wise, I think I wanted to do literally that, and then the drums come in. Just 2 bars of that riff on its own, and then everything kicks in. Oh, that's gonna groove so hard, dude. Dude, that's gonna hit like a dump truck, dude. Why did I choose dump truck? All right. Anyway. Hell yeah, dude. That's so groovy. I have a little drum idea for that. Yes. Okay, do I want this to be like a fast-paced thing or keep it halftime? kind of like that. We can accent those open notes with a crash. I have a little drum fill idea here too. Yeah, that's kind of sick. There we go. I like the right China. This is like nice and tight. Cool. Need some ghost notes in there, brother. Hell yeah, that's sick. Let's iron out some of these riffs, man. I have an idea for this tail end too. I want to do a big bend there. Yeah, dude. In a time where I don't want to seem unappreciative for the state that metal is in right now, because it really is in a great spot. And there are so many great bands, and it's popular right now. Like it's doing really well as a genre. But I really do appreciate the bands that have like stayed riffy. Like as easy as it would have been for Spirit Box to become less riffy and just more like pop song oriented, the fact that they stayed as like riff oriented as they have, and to see how popular they've become is really, really encouraging to see. Like Spirit Box is one of those bands where like they have so much depth because they do appeal to a larger audience because their songs are just good. Their songs are catchy and they're good, which gives them so much depth because like the masses can hear it and be like, oh, that's cool. And then musicians can hear it and be like, oh, like they've got that appeal on like multiple levels. Another band that doesn't get talked about as much is Alter Bridge. Dude, Alter Bridge, amazing songs, insane guitar work. Anyway, rambling once again. I want the squeal on the second repetition to be different. Oh yeah, dude, something like that. That's the one, dude. That's the one right there. Does dragging a region on top of another region create a take folder? Is there an option for that? When did that happen? That has I've never seen that happen. This is not a take folder. This is not a take folder. Why is it creating a take folder? That's cool, and I like that. But I also want the option to not do that. What am I looking at here? Why is that looking like a take folder? I had a tiny take folder here. There was a tiny little take folder at the beginning of my bar. Yep, that's exactly what happened. Okay, well, anyway, yeah, I'm gonna drag that over there. Okay, let's get back to it. Man, all these are so ass. Let me put a fret wrap on. I realized I'm not using any open strings, and I'm pretty high up on the fretboard, so this becomes an option. Because why would I practice my instrument if I can just wrap a little piece of cloth around the fretboard? That was good. Oh man, I was making some weird faces during those. I could feel it, and I was like, you know what? I think they're making the take better. Yo, pro logic tip. If you are dragging audio to another track and you don't want it to move horizontally, hit shift and it'll snap it in place. It'll stay in the same spot. Unless you move it too much, then it thinks you're trying to move it somewhere else. I don't need to hold shift, by the way. You just have to click it once and then click it again to turn that off. But then click it again and you'll be locked in place, baby. Pro logic tip. That was a good one. Years of learning John Petrucci riffs has prepared me for this. That was a good one. Oh, we should harmonize that, right? Ooh, that one felt good. That was good except for the ending. This guitar tone is so satisfying. It really is, dude. It just like, it is instant gratification. I think there's just so much low end and like resonance in this cab that like it feels like you have bass on it, but you really don't. And that's going to need to be addressed. Like mix wise, this is not going to work fully as it is right now. So we're going to have to deal with that. But God, it's so much fun to play through. Nice. It's so sick to have this break have just a ton of low end in it. Like the typical move would be to make this on a track that is either like lo-fi, like this, right? Or at least thin it out some a little bit. But that. I want this to be beefy as hell. Look at that. Look at that. Look at all that, man. That is like 80 to 100 hertz. That is all an absolute no-no for heavy rhythm guitars, man. But I don't care. All right, let's add bass. Here's a dumb studio thing that I'm gonna do, and I'm just gonna completely disregard the live playability of this riff on bass. I am going to tune down a step lower than the guitars actually are. And the reason I'm gonna do that is because it's gonna make this riff a lot easier to play. That was good. You know what an option could be for this guitar low end situation? I can get an instance of Pro MB, sidechain it to my bass, and give it a long release and a short attack so that whenever the bass is playing, the low end of the guitars is going to duck down a little bit. Not like too much, but like we can control that. Control the range here. And then the low end comes back when the bass drops out. So we're not overloading my whole mix with low end. I think that was pretty good. It'll be better if I just tune back up to A for that riff. The bass will also sound a little better. There we go. All right. Talked about metric modulation earlier. Now I got to try it. I'll play in the china and the snare at the same time. Yeah, dude, I kind of love that. You know we're gonna need a big ass bass drop on that Okay, I think that's about it, man. Let's throw the mastering chain on and give it a listen. Here we go. God damn. I love metric modulation so much, man. So gross, dude. This guitar tone is awesome. And I quite like this little move here that we did with the Pro MB. That's it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Thick Riff Thursday. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and the subscribe button, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.